live. We did it. Hello,
did it.
everyone.
All right.
Welcome to another story time
with JJ.
with JJ. I'm Jade, and this is Jay.
And I'm Jay, and this is Jay.
Short for John and James.
Yep. For those of you, I couldn't tell who was, but if anyone was on my Instagram live, now you know. We don't have real mustache.
No,
well, I have a
story.
Mustache kind of, but it's not the one that it looks better in the Instagram one. So,
and we're just going to kind of dive right into it this time, I think.
let's do it.
We're going to spend about one more minute just talking about something crazy that happened. So last time we did our story about go watch it if you haven't seen it.
Mhm.
But basically, then the next day I saw a trailer for that movie basically being made by NBC. It's called La Brea.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
And we had no idea about it or
Uh-uh.
anything like that. And what happened, we created it just from scratch. You guys voted on what you wanted us to do, and we did it, and we ran with it, and then boom, someone's already doing it on a larger scale in Hollywood.
It was crazy, and it's really fun to see the differences in the choices they made. Like, for instance, we made it like a college, and there was a professor and all these ragtag students coming to work together. What they did is it's a family that gets divided. Half of them go in, half of them stay out, and it's their journey to try and get this other half that went down under back up to the surface. And so they're trying to work together. It's really cool. I see why they did that. Tie the emotions together. Increase the stakes a little bit that way. Like, it was really smart of them to do.
I'll probably be watching it when it comes out.
And it's already out. They're on their second or third episode. But the other thing they did was increase the scale. We made it very localized. They made it open up like in the middle of a giant city. So it's not just a family member. It's like a ton of people. So it's got a real Lost meets Survivor feel.
I'm going to check it out then. I guess I can right now after this.
We'll see.
We'll see. Yes.
So anyway, we'll be taking a look at that, but just show you.
Yeah. Let's jump right into it. Let's jump right into this.
Okay. So for each of these segments, we're going to have 7 minutes to create each of the four very basic structure of a plot line. So we're going to start this timer right now. 7 minutes for.
Well, tell me what I have to do first. And don't just start timing me.
Story premise. First thing we need to do is pick a premise. So if anyone is live, go ahead and throw it in the chat. Vote on your favorite idea. Otherwise, you're going to force us to try and pick. And we're not so good at that.
Oh, this is where I need to pitch the ideas.
Yes, this is where we pitch the ideas. So that then we can choose the ideas. So then we know what
I wrote them down this time.
So I'm going to go.
Okay, you go first.
Turn the timer. Okay.
I'll go first. No, you go first. I go then.
Okay, I'll go first.
Okay,
first pitch. Let's do this one. Every night a man dreams about the same girl. He's dreamt about her every night since he was 8 and has fallen in love with her. So he begins seeing a therapist because he's in love with his dreams, right?
Oh, she's not real?
No, she's like in his dreams. Falls in love with that, right? So he begins seeing a therapist, and he starts moving on, meets another person, probably starts dating again. But when he begins to find evidence that this girl may in fact be real, he'll be forced to choose whether or not to believe in his dreams or believe in the world around him. There's one. I know. So tragic.
That is tragic.
So there's one.
Okay.
You go.
Let me go. Okay, this one. This one's a story about an introverted orc. You take the stereotypical Lord of the Rings orc that wants a better life and a more civilized life than the stereotypical orc. When he goes AWOL and deserts his orc war camp with his best friend, he has to create and lead the two of them and any followers who join them in creating a more civilized community. I pictured that one being kind of a comedy, And
I don't think it'll let you be anything but that.
I know. I've tried, and it's only works that way. But it's a cool concept, I think.
Yeah, great. Okay. So we have the dreamers and the orcs. Okay. Next one I've got. After dying in an alleyway after confronting his wife's murderer, an obsessed scientist wakes up the next morning in his bed to realize that he can't actually die. He'll need to unravel the conspiracy behind his continual resurrections and his wife's murder, or risk losing his chance at vengeance forever.
What's that? He dies?
Yeah, he dies. So basically, he gets shot confronting who he thinks is his wife's murderer in the alleyway, right? And then he wakes up the next morning in his bed, no gunshot wound, nothing. He's like fine.
Oh, so it's like Groundhog Day. He keeps waking up.
But it's not the same day. It's the day after. So he wakes up the next day and he's like, what's going on? So it's like a weird twist on the Groundhog Day. Instead of living the same day over and over and over again, he just gets another, he just keeps coming back every time he dies. It's kind of like the idea was based on like the idea of like, the death scene in Groundhog Day where he's dying over and over and over again. And also the Amazing Spider-Man 1 where he just keeps getting his butt handed to him over and over and over again. This guy's basically learning to become a vigilante through
having to try again.
Failing over and over and over and over again. But also tied with like his wife and their story and like the conspiracy behind it all. So it's mystery, intrigue, vigilante, justice stuff.
I like that. It's a great idea.
Thank you.
Okay, mine.
Fourth and final pitch.
Final pitch. This one I actually had a dream about last night. And so the
promising.
Running title is Mr. Placebo. It's a superhero, the superhero one idea where so the story is about a superhero and his two friends. One's a girl, one's a boy. That's important later. Whose powers only work when the people around him believe in his powers. So his kryptonite is people not believing he actually is a superhero, right? So he wants to use his powers for good. So he abandons his normal 9-to-5 job in the pursuit of becoming a superhero, living that life with the girl and saving people and things like that. Unfortunately, no bad guy he faces believes he has powers. So at first he's a failed superhero, but then ultimately he ends up finding an arch nemesis who believes in him. So that's the arch nemesis downfall, is that he believes in him. But let's see. Oh, the nemesis is called the Doctor in my head, and he's called Mr. Placebo. And the Doctor's ability is basically to convince people that he's insane, right? So he has to there's this dynamic of his nemesis making people don't believe in him when that's what he needs to make his superpower work.
What is his superpower?
I was thinking something along the lines of telepathy, maybe super strength, but telepathy more, and maybe the more people who believe in him, the stronger his power is.
Santa.
I mean? Like Santa. That's literally one of the things was the Santa Claus movie. That was inspiration. The more people who believe, the more power you have. And so
that's great.
If nobody believes he doesn't have it, his powers don't work. But his arch nemesis is really the only person. And anyways, there's this fancy love triangle I came up with in my head where his best friends, one of them's a girl who's been with him, and actually his power works the most when she's around because she believes in him. And he's trying to get this other girl, who's actually no good for him. But then, how much time do we have?
2 minutes. Perfect. We almost have 2 minutes just to choose one.
But anyways,
so much luxurious than last time.
I know. We have so much time. Anyways, those are the two ideas.
Yeah. Okay. So
two of mine, two of yours.
4
ideas.
Yeah, 4 ideas. What are you voting for? I think if you could vote for one of yours, one of mine, what ones are you voting for this time?
Mr. Placebo, probably.
Mr. Placebo. Great. Probably should have given my names.
Yeah. Well, mine just had that. It came to me in a dream, so it worked.
It's great. What about one of mine?
What's yours that you voted? One of yours that you voted. Your top out of the two.
Which one am I putting in for the official running?
Yeah, unless anyone else has recommendation.
The people. Alex says he likes the dream one. So we can. I'll just vote in that one. Dream one's going into. So now it's between Dream and Mr. Placebo.
Yeah,
I think.
Dream and Mr.
Okay.
Placebo.
You mean Mo?
Probably.
Give them a little. Do you have a minute?
Yeah, we got 1 minute.
Give them a 10-second synopsis of each one.
Okay. For those of you who missed it, 10-second synopsis of each one. There's a boy. He has the same dream of the same girl since he was 8. And he begins to think it's obviously it's not real. He's seeing a therapist, starts to move on. Then he starts to realize maybe it is real. Maybe I need to go find this girl. He has to choose whether he's going to believe in his dreams or in the world around him. Go.
Mr. Placebo you're a lot better at it than I am. A guy who has a superpower, but only works. His kryptonite is if people don't believe in him, his powers don't work. And so he has to figure out how to be a superhero when people don't believe in him.
Great.
It's essentially what it is.
Yeah. All right. Cast your votes now. And we'll probably vote as well.
Yeah. Probably.
I'm kind of
15 seconds.
Yeah, 15 seconds to cast votes. I'm kind of voting for Mr. Placebo. I think that's a funny idea.
We can roll with it, and obviously we can pivot. And I think we should keep the dream one for sure.
Oh, yeah, we keep all of our ideas.
I know we do.
Oh,
that's it. All righty. Well, that's I guess what we're doing then.
Mr. Placebo it is. Great. Okay, cool.
What's wrong with it?
So next thing, character creation. We need to probably set a limit on the number of characters that we do. At very least three of the major players, maybe three to five. Did we get votes on Instagram?
On Dream, but that's okay. Mr.
On Dream?
Placebo's great.
Dang it! I wish
Dang it. Next time.
maybe we'll just run into that next time.
Maybe.
Just do a longer,
Yeah,
elongated
you're good.
one.
Keep going.
Anyway, so now we have 7 minutes to create characters. But we are going to keep in mind that Dream one because we did get votes for that one. As I think we got 2 votes for that one. So
Yes.
maybe we'll just bring it back next time.
Yeah.
Great. All right, 7 minutes. Characters. We need to. Hey Reese.
Hey Reese.
How's it going? We're currently creating characters for this story of Mr. Placebo. We need an odd number. One of the things we talked about in my classes at UCLA was that if you have an even number of characters, it's very hard to incite conflict because if you have odd, 2 people can be against 1, 3 people can be against 2.
Right.
It
So
allows
you
for
have
that.
Mr. Placebo, the nemesis,
Obviously.
right?
Yep.
And then you have one like his.
You need the girl
who is his friend, but it's gonna be his girlfriend. You know, maybe.
Well, and the girl he's pursuing, right?
Yeah, and the girl he's pursuing, and then his other guy friend.
Great. So we have 5.
Yeah.
But then what is it about these? Like for them to be good characters, they need wants, motivations, right? Agendas.
So we already,
possibly secrets.
Right. We already kind of talked about what Mr. Placebo wants, right?
True.
He wants to be a superhero. He wants to do good and live that kind of life. Boom.
Yes. What makes it hard for Mr. Placebo to do that?
Nobody believes that he actually has powers, and people think he's insane.
So what stops other people from believing in him? Because
His
our goal is also
work.
to make the
right.
Yeah, his powers don't work. But then why, if he can explain, like, you have to believe in me for my powers to work, what makes people stop doing that? What is it about him that makes people not want to believe in him? Because you want to make this, for each of the characters, you want to make getting their agendas as difficult as possible.
Right.
You literally got to torture these characters. So for Mr.
what?
Placebo, what is it about him specifically that makes him so hard to believe?
What do you think?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Maybe he has like grand not delusions, but like maybe he's like maybe he's always talking metaphors. I don't know, like
or maybe, I mean, you take away like maybe we have to rework his desire, but maybe he actually is a known, like he is kind of he starts off as a thief. You know what I mean? And like he's not like somebody that is a typical person would trust. He's a compulsive liar usually.
And maybe that's what it is. Maybe it doesn't even need to be a thief because he still wants to do good. So then there'd have to be this big shift of like why he's going from thief to hero, and that'd be more the arc. But what if he is like a compulsive liar?
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of like liar, except for now the fate of the city's resting in his hands, and he has to get people to believe him, but everybody knows he's a liar. Nobody believes him.
Yeah, maybe as a shadowy past or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that. Like he's done things in his past that make it so people wouldn't just trust that he's like.
So he's probably done a little bit of thieving and then lied his pants off about it.
Right. And something about it is like you have to genuinely believe it, like in like how the placebo effect would work, right? Is you have to genuinely believe it's gonna work. And like if someone can be like, yeah, I believe you, but then they don't actually, and his powers don't work, and that can create a lot of conflict. Like,
Great.
You don't trust me, So,
I think he's a great character now.
Okay.
Compulsive liar with a shady past.
Question.
And then anyway, yeah.
So then his arch nemesis. Oh, what is this? Let's see.
I love that. Yes. Best friend. That's fantastic.
He always tells him
his best friend is a scientist that tells him why he can't like scientifically actually have this power. Where he's like, no, gravity doesn't work like that. Like, that's a great idea.
Okay. I love it. I love that.
So like a logic-driven friend who's constantly shooting him down.
Yeah.
Who only believes in science.
Yes.
2 characters, great.
So that's that. His arch nemesis, right? Opposite of him, right, is a doctor, right? People trust him inherently. You know what I mean? Just because he like.
Wait. So then is that the? Oh, but I love it. Is his best friend the villain in a weird way? Because that's a great because I love that twist. I love his best friend being the one who's like constantly shooting him down. But that does seem like a nemesis role.
Is it something in the story you could do? Is unintentional villain, and that is one of the things that turns around at the end. Is he has to get his friend to like abandon his old scientific ways to like give him enough belief to have his powers.
Those are the best villains, the ones who we have compassion for, who are directly like related to the hero.
So maybe
they're combined.
So maybe his best friend is the arch nemesis who like he ends up like as he's a failed superhero, he ends up trying to like be for his good to try to convince him why his powers don't work scientifically.
That's great. Okay,
good job.
Also great.
Always.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Okay, so let's talk
Yes.
about that girlfriend, Reese. So, so the girl, there's two, the girl that he's chasing and the girl who's his best friend, right?
Right.
So which one are they fighting? They're probably fighting over the same one, right?
The one that
Not
he's
the best
chasing.
friend, but the one that he's chasing,
Right.
right? And so what is it about her that's toxic? Like, or makes his life even harder? What, like,
Well,
he's chasing her, so what makes that even more difficult?
he's chasing her,
Mhm.
and she is attracted to power.
So is she
Right.
attracted to the best friend first?
Yeah, because he's a doctor.
And he's got the power.
Right.
Power
So
of
there's this
doctor.
weird like triangle of like what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because she likes him, but the best friend respects his friend, but he's chasing her, but he kind of likes her because she's attractive.
This
It
is
creates
really
that.
giving me some Dr. Horrible sing-along blog vibes. Have you ever seen that?
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah,
so
with
good.
Barney from
How Much Mother.
yeah.
And Nathan Fillion, two of the
Okay,
best.
we got a
We got
minute.
a minute. So I think that's, so
25.
what is it about? So this girl likes
Mhm.
power, but then that's also what makes his life hard, is because then the second she starts realizing, maybe believing that he does have power, she's going to switch over to him, but then he's
Mhm.
starting to realize like maybe that's not what he wants, and that type of stuff, right?
Right.
So then one
She
minute
believes
to
in his love, so it becomes true for him.
okay.
There we go.
I get behind that. Great. 1 minute. Let's talk about the best friend who's a girl,
Okay.
because we're about out of time for these
Yeah.
characters.
And that's
So,
all of them, right? If we can get her.
because it
Okay.
combines the nemesis and the
Okay.
which not amazing, but if we can get 4 people to have a square thing of conflict going on, that's awesome.
Great.
So best friend girl,
Mhm.
who probably believes in him, right?
Yeah. The whole time.
You mentioned before, he's strongest when he's around her.
Right.
So what about her makes his life harder?
Harder?
Yes, because you never want a character who's just making someone's life easier. They need to make their life
That'd be
even
nice.
harder. It would be nice. That's why we torture characters in stories.
Okay, so what about her that would make his life hard?
He believes maybe she's like enabling him. So like the more she believes in him, the more other people don't believe him. Does that make sense? Like,
okay, so she's enabling him. So maybe he doubts himself, right? And
on the
so,
best girlfriend's always trying to keep him out of danger too.
that would be it.
That's great.
Yeah, she doesn't like that he's trying to. Oh no!
But don't worry, I feel like we got it.
I feel like we got it right in the nick of time.
The best friend, like you said, the best friend's always trying to keep him out of danger. Is trying to stop him from being the superhero he's supposed to be.
Right.
And
like
you can
believes
layer
in
that.
him in that way, but like doesn't want him to get hurt.
30-second recap of characters. Go.
Okay, 30-second recap of characters. Go with Mr. Placebo.
Oh, Mr. Placebo.
Or whoever you can think of first. I'll
For
go
10
next.
seconds.
10
before
seconds.
each go.
Mr. Placebo, a guy with a shady past, not really trustworthy, but has a superpower of like telepathy, who his powers only work when people believe in his powers.
And he's a compulsive liar. And everybody knows it about him.
Yep.
And then we have his best friend girlfriend who believes in him. His powers work the strongest when he's around her. However, she's always trying to stop him from being a superhero and trying to get him to play it safe.
Right. Best friend / arch nemesis. He is a doctor. Best friend doesn't like his friend getting hurt either. Ends up trying to go against this idea that he's a superhero and ends up becoming his arch nemesis.
Yep. Always trying to convince him he doesn't have powers.
And convince everyone around him not to give into delusions and things like that.
And they're trying to date the same girl.
Yes.
Who is this other girl who is attracted to power. And so initially she's with that best friend doctor person, and the Mr. Placebo is trying to, win her over. However, that possibly tilts the scale a little bit. I think she's probably the weakest character right now that we need to flesh out more if we had more time. But anyway, so those are the characters, right?
Yeah, that's a recap.
Great.
Okay.
Now we have 7 minutes to talk about next thing. I know, Zorn. Oh, hey. Hi, I didn't see that message.
Oh,
how you
hello.
doing? Thanks everyone for hopping on, by the way. So two more things before we can create a story completely. Next thing we need to figure out is the story arc. So we're keeping it very, very simple. Obviously, there's many plot points that you can.
Hi, Gabby.
There's a lot of different minute plot holes or plot points we could do, but for now, we're just going to stick to the beginning, the midpoint, and the end.
Okay.
Midpoint being, so beginning, obviously, when everything starts. Midpoint is when everything turns on its head. The tables are turned. Either it's a false defeat for the hero or a false victory.
Okay.
And then the end is the climax. Right?
So
where everything comes to a head.
Right. So
7 minutes
at the beginning. Okay.
Go.
Ready? Go. Beginning. How does he get his superpower, or how does he find out he has them? That's going to be the beginning, right?
Yeah. Is it do like the inciting incident, the thing
Right.
that kicks it all off, right? So he's this guy. Probably it's through the introduction of this other girl who likes doctor person. So he's with best friend, sees this girl, right? And he's like, ooh, I would like to date this girl. Somehow, like in that something in that interaction. Like
maybe he's trying to impress her. And so
Mhm.
he lies because he's a compulsive liar. And it actually ends up triggering his superpower. And so it actually ends up working. You know what I mean? Like, and then he's like, wait, that actually worked, but I was lying.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah, I
Because he
think that's
convinced
great.
her. Yeah, okay. That's
Mhm.
what else?
So is there like a I guess is there something that is there another tweak to it? Like is it just genetic? Feels gets pushed off a building. Yeah, exactly. Something that like it feels like it needs just a little bit, like either that day he either like fallen off a building, or he's received an ancient amulet from his from his long lost grandfather, or something that's triggering that power. I don't know if it's an amulet, because I don't necessarily want it to be taken away. That ruins kind of.
But that's
the
what
whole...
can start the belief,
and
it could have nothing to do with the amulet. Anyways,
there's something like something that could
something that
see
actually
as a
happens.
trigger.
Yeah.
Maybe somehow this other girl's like a catalyst. Maybe she's like. I don't know. Let's come back to it. Let's see if we can get the middle and the end, and then we'll jump back and see if there's a plot point we can add in that'll help us.
Yeah, see if we can work it backwards, maybe.
So what is that midpoint? Like everything goes right, or everything goes really wrong, and the game completely changes.
I think something has to go really wrong. That's kind of the way I feel like it's leaning.
Usually,
like I don't feel like anything's really going right for this dude.
I mean, the thing that we could is, like, for instance, wrong can also be right. Like, for instance, giving him what he thinks he wants, which isn't actually, like, part of the midpoint will be that probably that he wins over this other girl, right? The girl so the girl leaves his best friend and comes and like is now dating him, right? But that almost triggers best friend doctor to become his nemesis at the midpoint.
Oh, because she like kind of gives up with him and goes to the friend, and now he's like, well, wait.
And it's these quote unquote delusions that maybe helped him win over the girl in the first place. And so the best friend makes it his life's mission to prove that this guy's to ruin that relationship by proving that he's not.
There it is. So it's a success, maybe not in the superhero term, because maybe he's still not being successful, but the girl ends up coming to him. You know,
so then the midpoint being like he and girl number 2 finally like kiss, right? They start to date or something. Right. Great question. Is this story set in a dystopian universe? It could be. It could be set really in any.
Yeah. So far, it's flexible enough where you can place it anywhere. It can be modern day, you know, like just like every other day. It can be past, present. Like it could be like anywhere.
Yeah. So I mean,
so far,
we'll see if it gets figured out and
with more details that come out. Like it might.
If something becomes reliant on it, that's usually a good way to do it. Like if for setting wise, I'll take a quick pause and I'll just say this really quick. When it comes to like creating settings, I'm really stressed. When it comes to creating settings, either settings are coming first, or there's something that you need to manipulate around your story. So in this case and scenario, we will manipulate our setting around kind of what the story ends up becoming, because it didn't come first and the plot's not dependent on the setting. It needs to be the other way. It's one or the other usually.
Gotcha.
So
it's okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool.
So anyway, end. How's it end? Everyone is crying in their bed.
Everyone's crying. It's a superhero movie, so you can go stereotypical route. He gets the girl, right?
Which, the way I'm hearing this story, it seems like it's a lighthearted comedy action comedy, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Which means it probably needs to end fairly normally.
Right.
Maybe. I mean, you could definitely like pull out the rug and, you know, destroy people's expectations. I don't know how it would land, you know?
Yeah, I don't think, it would. I have an ending that's horrific, but
it's called feeding the genre beast.
Oh, no.
You got to give people what they're expecting otherwise, or you have to prepare them to not get what they expected.
So maybe girl number 2 just wants to use him and kick him out, his first and really love girl of his life. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. I think that we're actually, let us come back to that comment, because that's going to come into the next thing, which is obstacles. Things that make the getting from plot point to plot point harder.
Oh, that's in the next section.
That's the final section, is how to complicate the journey.
All right.
But let's
jumping ahead there.
but I like
But
that you're
great.
thinking ahead.
But right there,
End.
end of the story.
And then we still
Gets,
kind of figure out the beginning. So we got
gets
2
the
minutes for it.
gets the girl right.
Mhm.
Defeats or shames the doctor into going into
Or befriends it, or they
or
come to some
befriends-
sort of like unity.
Yeah,
I don't know.
they could.
Just
They
thinking
could.
really My Little Pony here for a second.
Yeah,
Cliffhanger for the sequel. Could always do that as well. Just like
yeah.
who knows
What's
what
gonna
happens.
happen? I
Um,
like it.
So, but what is that? So we obviously he's
So
gonna.
I think
if he's gonna get the girl-
starts becoming a successful superhero.
Okay.
You know, he finds out like maybe he needs to keep his sidekicks around who don't really like fight the criminals, but like or whatever it is, but
Power him up.
but are there to like be his batteries essentially when he's being a superhero.
The doctor becomes his sidekick. I love
yeah,
that.
that's actually awesome.
So then it's probably like the doctor. How is the doctor threatening everything? Like, what is that? What is that end goal
Because
that the doctor has?
Is to put him in an insane asylum.
Okay, so then at the climax then needs to be that he's basically in the insane asylum,
Okay.
right? And he rallies himself due to either a visit from the doctor or from or from his best friend. No, maybe it's this. Maybe he's finally realized that he loves the girl number one, right?
His best friend who's always been there.
Mhm. But he's now locked up in an insane asylum, right?
Okay.
Because of his interaction with the doctors.
Mhm.
And the girl's going to go to Europe to become a famous fashion designer or some
Something
way
like
that
that.
he needs to
Yeah.
do that epic like rom-com chase scene
Uh-huh.
where like he breaks out as like running to her, but it like very superhero-y, very like, and that would we'd have to decide the stakes, right? So is the stakes that like, is the whole city going to explode, or is the stakes that he's not going to be with the girl of his dreams? I did not expect this to turn into a rom-com, but like it
But it's doing it
very slowly spiraling that way.
Yeah. I think it's leaning more towards the way like the girl's gonna go.
Okay, so
Right?
he's gonna lose best friend number one,
Uh-huh.
who maybe has lost belief in him. I don't know, but something has happened. She's gonna go away forever, and he needs to break out of the prison, run to her. He gets her. They embrace. Oh, probably he needs to get out of that insane asylum with the help of the doctor.
Yeah.
I think that's the part where the doctor needs to
flip.
To flip there.
To then go get the girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds like.
How does it begin?
Well, the general idea of the beginning is that
he gets his superpower.
He gets his superpower in his attempts to impress girl number two. Oh yeah, 10-second summary. Here we go. 10-second summary.
Okay.
The beginning. What we've got for the beginning is in his attempts to impress girl number two.
Girl number two being the one who likes power.
The one who likes power and is dating doctor at first. In his attempts to impress her, he lies to her about being telepathic. And somehow that actually triggers his ability. It ends up being the truth. He triggers his ability to actually be a telepath.
Yeah.
Do you remember the middle? What's the middle?
Midpoint is he gets the girl. He gets the girl number two, and they kiss, and they're like, "Oh, they're a thing now? Like things are going to start happening." While he's actually still failing as a superhero.
And she was dating the doctor before, and now she's broken up with the doctor to be with him.
So then doctor's like, "Nope, I hate you now,"
and he decides that he's going to devote his life to ruining his superhero-ness.
Yeah,
and
that's why he denies the fact that he has powers. Yes. That's the
that
motivation.
That could be a nice, solid, concrete thing of how he got his powers.
Oh, who denies?
The doctor.
The doctor denies. Okay.
Yeah, the idea being the doctor experimenting on guy number one, Mr. Placebo, and that's why he keeps denying the fact that he has powers. And then finally, the end, really quick, is that he's locked up in an insane asylum. He's lost girl number two, realizes that he loves girl number one, needs to escape. Somehow is able to convince his best friend to help him escape from the insane asylum. He goes out and does a really great epic superhero rom-com run to the airport to stop her and profess his love, and they kiss and it's all happy. Ta-da!
Okay. Moving on to the next.
I'm not going to give us 7 minutes for this one. Give us 5. Shouldn't be terrible. Okay. So because we are low on time, we're going to give 5 minutes right here. This is for obstacles. They're, according to my friend John Akawi, who I believe also got this from UCLA, it just changed the way I looked at stories, which is why we have to do it. Obstacles are either, there's 3 kinds: escalations, twists, or complications. Because no story is fun if it just goes from A to B. Things have to get more complicated, more tricky. Right. An escalation being the stakes are raised. It becomes even harder, right? Escalations the stakes are raised, and he's going to lose more if he fails. The hero loses more.
Right.
Complications, it just simply becomes harder
Mm.
to reach his goal.
Okay.
Right. And then a twist is the story completely changes. Like there's new objectives, there's new goals, there's everything. So what we want to figure out is we want to put at least one obstacle in between each thing, from between the beginning and the middle, and between the middle and the end, which is why I only give us 5
So
minutes.
there's two. I either saw a complicated
Okay.
or twist, right?
Mhm.
Like, and you could, maybe it destroys the whole story, but with the twist, you're like, he actually is insane. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
you're thinking an ending twist.
Oh, okay.
Like a twist would be like
I love that.
in between the midpoint and
Uh-huh.
the end. The twist is that he stops wanting to date girl number 2 and wants to date girl number 1.
So it is a
while
twist.
he's dating girl 2. It's a twist because it's a change in the story, change in
But it
motivation.
also gets
right?
complicated because he gets locked up, right?
And that's a
Yes.
complication. Exactly.
Okay.
He gets locked up in an insane
So
asylum.
we
I think,
already
but
have those.
we have some of them. What about the
Yeah.
beginning and the middle though? We need an obstacle between
What was the other one besides complication and twist?
escalation, where he's going to now lose more if he doesn't get his goal. Like if he can't date girl number 2, he's going to lose his job. That's an escalation.
Well,
Who knows why that
I
would
mean, there
happen? I
is-
don't think that's what happened.
there is an escalation that happens because he quits his job, right? And
To be
and
with
so-
her?
No, at the beginning to become a superhero, and so now his well-being determines on like how well he can be a superhero.
It's a
Essentially.
great idea, actually.
Like, and so in
That's
a
a
way,
good
that's an
escalation.
escalation, right?
Mhm.
Oh.
Eh.
Through some misunderstanding from
A botched
a
heist.
botched heist sabotage by the doctor, guy number 1 gets thrown into this same asylum. Yeah.
Exactly. That'd be a
Yeah.
great. So in the last half between the midpoint and
Mhm.
the end, the way that he gets thrown in the insane asylum being that through a misunderstanding or from a botched heist or some sort of sabotage by the doctor, Mr. Placebo gets thrown into that insane asylum.
Yeah.
Great. That's
Boom.
an awesome complication right there.
Yes.
Good example,
Solid.
Reese. So then between the beginning and the midpoint is basically that escalation. He quits his job to become the hero.
So his
because he thinks
livelihood's
it
on
will
the stake.
impress girl number 2.
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
his livelihood's at stake.
On the stake.
Look at that.
Yeah, on the
2
stake.
minutes left. So
Well, that makes up for all the times we went over.
you're right. So
So-
let's wrap it all up. Let's tell our story. Now let's do the part of the segment, my favorite part. Let's tell the story,
Yeah.
shall we? Do you remember the story?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Do you want me to start out? Or do you
Yeah,
want to
go
start
for it.
Okay. So here's the recap of the story we just made. Thank you everyone for your help first and
Yes.
foremost.
Great
So
story.
the story is working title, Mr. Placebo.
Mr. Placebo.
It is about we start the story on a man. He is a compulsive liar. No one in his life trusts him. He basically does whatever he can to get what he wants.
Right.
And the thing he wants at the beginning of the story is girl number 2. Girl number 2 is currently dating his best friend. He's very logical, thinking doctor friend.
Yes.
We'll call him Doctor.
Yeah.
And he wants to be dating the girl that doctor's dating, girl number 2.
Right.
To the chagrin of girl number 1.
To the what?
I don't know. I've heard people use chagrin.
Chagrin?
It sounded
Is that
like
a
it
word?
works there.
Okay.
So girl number 1 doesn't necessarily approve of that relationship,
Right.
but he believes he can,
Right. Because girl number 1's always looking out for Mr. Placebo.
doesn't think he should do anything dangerous.
Right.
Anyway,
Mhm.
but in his attempts to woo girl number 2 at this party or whatever,
Mhm.
he unintentionally triggers his telepathic ability
Right.
that only works when people believe he's telepathic,
Yeah.
right? So he convinces her that he's telepathic, and then suddenly he is. It's a wonderful beginning.
I love that.
So then he's going to he's like pursuing girl number 2, trying to impress her, trying to win her over.
Mhm.
In fact, he even quits his job at one point to become a superhero, right? Because
to pursue his dream of like saving people and having the girl and like doing those
Mhm.
things, like just like in those movies.
especially in like really part of it is to impress girl number 2 as well.
Right.
But then at the midpoint, he actually does get the girl. He and girl number 2 kiss. But what happens is then the doctor loses the girl, right?
Yeah. Then the doctor loses the girl, so then it becomes the doctor's main mission to cancel or to stop Mr. Placebo from convincing any more people of his delusion. So he makes it his mission to convince people he's insane and try to lock him up. Right.
Yep. And then how does it go from there? And then as they're struggling, as they're fighting this conflict, at some point through like a botched heist or something, the doctor is actually able to commit Mr. Placebo into an insane asylum.
Right. So he's stuck in this insane asylum where nobody believes in his powers, right? And this is where girl number 1 finally gets the opportunity of her lifetime and decides to become a, what do we decide?
Fashion designer. I was
fashion designer. She goes to France and she gets her ticket, and the company Chanel wants her to go out. I don't know where Chanel's based, but they want her to go, and they got her a ticket, and she's going to the airport, and
it's probably given up on Mr. Placebo.
Probably it's like, okay, well, maybe he is insane, or like he doesn't care. Maybe he just doesn't show up for something for her,
exactly.
I think she always believes he's not insane. But
agreed.
It's like he didn't show up again. You know what I mean? And so she's on her way to Paris.
Like she's done with him for other reasons. She doesn't actually think she's insane. She's the one person who does believe him.
Right. So she's on her way. Boom. So then what he has to do is
and through the course of that also he has fallen. He's actually realized he wants to be with girl number 1, not girl number 2 as well. Right. And
so now he has to and ends up breaking out of the insane asylum. And convinces the doctor he actually has powers. You know what I mean? And so then they end up breaking him out, and he uses his abilities to get to the airport or stops the airplane and pulls it down. It's like, I love you.
He's telepathically communicating his love declaration through the plane for everyone to hear. Jenny, I love you. For the whole plane. Okay.
Okay.
And then they kiss and they live happily ever after with some cliffhangers at the end about the doctor maybe doing something else nefarious. We don't know.
Or girl number 2.
Oh, girl number 2. There's your cliffhanger.
Yeah, who knows?
And that's Mr. Placebo, ladies and gentlemen.
That's a story.
That's a great story.
That's a story we could film.
It was very entertaining.
Except for the whole airplane. I love you. Like, I don't know if we can film that, but we could
do model planes.
Yeah.
Anyway. So that's it for story time with J and J.
Yeah, JJ.
John and James.
Yep.
Thanks everyone for watching and for your comments. That is so helpful. You have no idea.
Yes.
We would
have been stuck. Like it helps us get out of the mud a little bit. So thank you.
And so if you watch this, in the comments below, write some pitches for what we should do next time. We're looking at doing that dream one we said at the beginning, but we're always open to, and we'll have those in a list and we'll keep rotating through. So comment what you loved the most about the story.
And it would help us, honestly, ideas. So we don't have to keep coming up with ideas. If you guys come up with ideas, we're like, okay, we'll take this one and pitch it, So,
okay.
Boom.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
See you later. Take care.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.